Coach McGuire.
First and foremost, what was the initial reaction this morning, a few hours ago?
Pretty incredible. You know, we felt like we were going to get the bye, but we really wanted the bye. Like that was a driving force for the week of talking about one, getting some guys healthy, and one of my favorite things. Lee Hunter and I were walking down the hallway, and he said, "Coach, I heard we could possibly get Christmas off." And I said, "Yeah, we'll figure out the time and everything where y'all can go home, but you're going to get Christmas off." And he said, "So I'm going to get to see my daughter." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You shouldn't have told me that, Coach. They're in trouble." And it was really like he was really serious. I thought he was joking. He goes, "I can play even harder, Coach." And so I was like, "Okay, well, I think somebody might have reminded him before the game, they're trying to keep you away from your daughter on Christmas." So it was good. It was great this morning to get that bye.
So, funny enough, last year every single team that earned the bye lost in that first round. So I'm curious, what did you maybe learn? I don't know if you necessarily could figure out what mistakes maybe they made in that preparation. Basically, how do you not repeat history this go around?
Yeah, it's going to be tough because this is really not, Cole said it, this is really not natural. We've talked about it before that I think we ought to be playing the playoffs every 7 days and stuff like that. And so, what we can't do, though, is we've got to take advantage of it. So this week we're going to lift and run, so they won't put the pads on. And if we did put the pads on, we're kind of missing the point of the bye. We've got a chance to get some guys healthier. We came out of the game really healthy. I mean, if we had to play Saturday, everybody that played last night would play on Saturday. So we've got to do a really good job of when we practice, the intensity of practice. I think one of the big things, though, is we're a really old team. We've got a lot of vets, and they are very serious about winning, in a few weeks and trying to, make a run at this thing. I mean, our deal all year long is why not us? And so we're going to find out real quick, why not us?
And how do you prepare for two opponents? Because you don't know yet, right? And does Oregon, currently being a 3-touchdown favorite, maybe alter any of that specific preparation?
Yeah, honestly, it's tough to see some of the teams that, should be in the playoffs that aren't in the playoffs. And, I have all the respect in the world for, any of the group of 5 teams and everything. But it's going to take a lot to beat Oregon at Oregon. So our prep will start right now on Oregon as a whole staff, and then we'll have some of our student coaches and our GAs and QCs, be doing some work on JMU. But, I mean, the reality, it's going to be really tough. And JMU is a really good team, and their head coach is an absolute stud. The other thing that comes into effect, too, he's trying to get ready for Oregon, and he's going to UCLA. I mean, I can't imagine that, trying to do both jobs at the same time, because the portal opens up on January 2nd. So if he's not getting ready for, his job at UCLA, then, he's going to miss a mark there. So it'd be interesting.
Coach, you talked about the why not us. I see out there that you got another opening on the trophy case area over there. Just from your perspective, looking at this bracket, how do you feel it shook out, and how do you feel about where you're at?
Yeah, we were really happy. I thought it was going to be tough for us to move up, just from the standpoint of whoever lost the Ohio State Indiana game, they were going to stay in the top 4. I was a little not surprised, but I could have seen Georgia, the way they beat Alabama, moving up to number 2 and Ohio State moving to 3. But I was pretty confident they were going to keep us at 4. And as long as we're in the top 4, we felt good about that. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, we have history with Oregon not too long ago, a really good Oregon team, and it was a great game here. Going to Miami, I mean, if you would have told my 14, 15-year-old self that I'm going to get to coach in the Orange Bowl, he would say that's pretty dang cool. And what I'm saying is it's pretty dang cool. I'm excited about that. Our guys are excited about it, and these guys have shown up every single week. Especially whenever we had Baron Morton at quarterback and we had Skylar Gill Howard either on the field or on the sideline. We've played really well.
And then I saw you guys yesterday get off the bus and see all the fans that were there. Man, how did that feel for you personally?
Yeah, that was incredible, man. I mean, I think y'all know how much I love this place, and to walk off there, and we usually pull on the east side, but we had heard that there were a lot of fans that were going to want to see the team, and so we came in on the west side and were able to walk through, and that was pretty awesome. And what's so cool is it just over and over and over, this place has reassured a Cole, a Lee Hunter, Reggie Virgil, all those new guys that came in this year, just how special this place is.
You mentioned
Coach,
Skylar Gill Howard. Any holding out hope 3 weeks?
Yeah, I don't think it'd be that. It would have to be more, for us playing a little bit longer for him to even have a shot. He's out of the boot now. He's in the pool running. His next part will be in the Alter G, to where it'd be a little bit more of his weight, and then land running. He was messing with everybody, saying he wanted to play, yesterday. But he's in a really good spot. It's really good. All of our injured guys are really on pace. Like Will feels really good in his rehab, and so all the injured guys. Q, I mean, that would probably the guy to be. If we were old school ACL 6 months away, that'd be the guy that was probably the closest. Him and Skylar, but we're not. In the modern era, it's really 9 months where they'll clear you with ACL.
Coach, as you kind of reflect back on the game from yesterday, anything new stand out to you as you've had a chance to kind of run it back through your mind?
Hey, I will tell you this. Ben Roberts and I sat together on the bus whenever we got off the plane on the bus, and he was like, Coach, it was so loud in that stadium. That was awesome. There was so many Red Raiders, but he was like, if I wasn't looking at you on the field, I couldn't hear you whenever I was trying to communicate. And so, and we felt like, Sheila and I were talking about this morning how loud it was and what a great atmosphere. That's a great place to play football.
Did he ask for your vet key since he almost got 3, or did you say, well, if you'd had that third one?
Yeah, if he'd had the third one, it hit him in the chest, he would have got to drive it around a little bit. It's out there today, just in case you're wondering.
You said yesterday was the 14th time you coached at AT&T Stadium. I know it's like asking you to choose your favorite children, but before yesterday, what was your most satisfying victory?
I would say, there's a couple. We beat South Lake Carroll in 2008. They'd beat us in 2007 and knocked us out of the playoffs. We knocked them out in the playoffs in 2008. That was a big one. But, really 2013, whenever we were able to beat Katy to win that second state championship was probably the biggest one. But, not taking away from anybody that I've coached or played, but yesterday was by far the coolest experience and the most fun as far as a win comes, and we're going to try to go make some more memories.
You mentioned the Orange Bowl. Do you have a favorite Orange Bowl memory?
Going back, I mean, you think about like I want to stay in, and again, I hope this was the Orange Bowl. I'll screw it up, but like Penn State, Oklahoma, but that's just like you go back to that stadium and just the iconic games that they've had in that stadium. I think Arkansas got beat there. They had a couple guys get hurt there one year in the Orange Bowl. But, man, just you sit there and you say, hey, Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl, and, hey, Joey McGuire, you get to coach in the Orange Bowl. That's, pretty surreal.
Speaking of, it's been an emotional 24 hours. Has there been a point, and even at all this season, where you kind of had to, sit there and maybe do a little, pinch me moment, be like, how is this real right now?
Yeah, really, and I've had a couple of those moments in my career. I was really lucky, but, whenever you get to where the clock's counting down and you've won the game, there was some moments yesterday on the sideline of, a couple really cool moments with Cody Campbell, a really cool moment with my dad. He's always on the sideline. He's usually in the end zones, but he started working his way down. The ESPN has shown a pretty cool moment. I was wiping away a tear, and if you look behind me, my dad's crying. So, we've had some of those moments. I remember in 2006 when we won it in the Alamo Dome. Right there at the end, it was kind of the same thing. He put his arms around me as we're going to win the game. That was cool. I'm not a big Gatorade guy unless you win a big game. There's not been like the state championships, I had Gatorade poured on me. Like when we won district championships, we expected to do that, so I didn't want the Gatorade bath. That was a pretty cool moment yesterday too.
We'll go to Zoom real quick. We'll go to Brian Davis first, then Justin after that.
Coach, you there? You got me?
Yep, yes sir.
Awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations on yesterday. Congratulations on today. No doubt about that. I wanted to ask you kind of a bigger picture question. With what happened with Notre Dame, Sark was obviously arguing Texas's case. What's your thought on scheduling now going forward, now that you're seeing how this is shaken out? You guys already have a good lineup for next year, but is it worth playing these big out-of-conference games right now if you're not going to get rewarded for that?
Well, you're trying to get me in trouble with Notre Dame again. Well, here's the deal: win. Like that's the bottom line. No matter who you're playing, and I get it, man. You're playing a really tough opponent. Ohio State's as good as anybody in the country. You've got a brand new quarterback playing in his first big game. And it was a really close game. Same thing with Notre Dame and Miami. So you're either looking at changing the format. I mean, the tough thing is if you're talking about Texas, and I'm going to throw BYU in there. BYU lost 2 games against the number 4 team in the country, and so you got to almost have a criteria of if you're a G5 school. I don't want to rule them out, but you almost have to be like, hey, you're going to have to play so many Power 4 teams and win them, or you're going to have to go undefeated, to be in, because you can't argue that Alabama shouldn't be in, or maybe OU shouldn't be in, or something like that. You've got to argue, those two if you're going to put, a Notre Dame in, or a Texas or Vandy or BYU or any of those teams. And then I do think it's going to expand. I think it's good. I think we have to change the calendar to expand it, but I do think it's going to expand. But you also got to look at the criteria. Like this is where you're going to get me in trouble. But like if you're in a conference, you're probably at 10-2. You're probably in a conference game, and you have another game to play in order to make a case of being in the playoffs. I love John Gruden, and Kalani actually said it too. I love John Gruden's deal. Everybody that's on the bubble or in the mix should play a 13th game, and then you wouldn't have had any questions about who wouldn't have got in. If you're going to play a conference championship game, then let's play play-in games also.
Because of what happened with BYU, do you want the Big 12 to keep the title game?
I think it's important to have title games. I do. I think you have to start looking at, if you've got teams at home that aren't playing a game and they're ranked, how do they move up ahead of you if you lose your conference game? So there's a lot of questions out there. I will tell you, I'm going to be shocked that there's not a lot of changes. Just from the standpoint of having Tulane and JMU in and having some of those guys sitting home, you got to think that some of the criteria is about to change even more, and then you got to think that there's about to be expansion whenever it comes to the playoffs.
And one more real quick, just, all the talk was about Ohio State and Indiana and the SEC this and the SEC that. How anxious are you to go out and prove, like Kalani said, you guys are the best team in the country?
Well, I'm really anxious because I think that's you got a great chance to show who you are and how special this team is. We'll be ready to play. These guys have shown up every week and played at a really high level against anybody that we've played. I think that I really do think I've said this before, and I will continue to say it. I think there are very strong teams that make certain conferences a stronger conference. But once again, you had Alabama and Georgia in the SEC game, and they have been the powers of that conference for a long, long time, and that conference gets a lot of praise because of those two teams and how good they have been. And you go to the same way with Ohio State, you know, and Michigan whenever they were really good a couple years ago, and that they, for some reason, those teams make a conference a better conference versus there's just really good football teams versus strong conferences.
Thank you, sir.
You
Congratulations
bet.
again.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, Coach, you guys were, pretty open start of the year about leaving that spot open for the Big 12 championship trophy. You mentioned that scene coming back yesterday. Who got to put the trophy in that spot, or were you around when that happened? What was that little moment like?
No, Huff puts it in. Huff's the guy. Now the trophy did fly back. Debbie stayed in Dallas because she did Christmas with her family there after the game, and so the trophy actually was strapped in her seat. And so we sent a picture of the trophy sitting in her seat, and she might have had to move if she would have flown back because that trophy was going to be really close to me.
Thanks, Coach.
Anything else in here?
I have one more. What's your thought on the conference fining Kansas State and Iowa State $500,000 today for opting out of the bowl game?
Yeah, it's really tough, man. I mean, you're losing both your coaches. I know that it was a team vote in K-State. I haven't heard anything. When we walked in, I saw the fine. It's tough, man. I just hate it for everybody involved, the players involved. Man, you play all year long to try to, that's like the reward of all the hard work that you have. And so I know there's a lot of seniors on both teams that I think would probably be extremely disappointed that they're not playing in the game. And so I don't know what's going to come of it, but I hate it for those seniors at K-State and Iowa State.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All righty. Thank y'all. Good seeing y'all.